What's going on, everybody? This is Chris Classic dropping a car vlog. Hope you guys and gals are having a good day. This would be a quick one. If nobody tells you today God loves you, Christ loves you, and I love you as well, I'm praying for you guys. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, to Take It Home podcast, where I put up my matches as Classic Alpha, and I talk about wrestling content. Make sure you also subscribe to C3 Ultimate Wrestling. That is me and my wife's professional wrestling company. Our next show is February 21st. Big Business, Dyer, Indiana, Harold's Private Venue. Tickets are on sale now on Eventbrite. $5 off. There'll be $5 more at the door. Also, same day, I'll be making my Backbreaker Wrestling debut at Double Down in Griffith, Indiana. Get your tickets for that. I wanted to talk about something that we found out a couple days ago. Bron Breakker and Chelsea Green has injuries. Bron Breakker had a hernia and he had to have emergency surgery. Chelsea Green, she had a foot injury. I don't know if it broke, but they said it was like career threatening. So I'm like, oh my gosh. So the alleged injury from Bron is that he had caught a hernia when he tried to flip over the announce table. And Chelsea, like I said, she had her match, and that contributed to her thing. So let's talk about it. With Bron Breakker, I've said that this man is intense. And I'm not saying that you have to technically like tone down your character, but the moveset, the way he runs, he hurt his head doing that Frankensteiner against CM Punk. Like, he's very, very intense, and he sticks out above the rest when it comes to that. Not knocking that at all, but you can be too intense. I understand. Yes, you're strong, you're explosive, you're dynamite. You get what I'm saying? You have a short wick that burns out quick in bars, and you want to take care of stuff and all of that stuff. You're carrying the legacy of your father and your uncle and stuff like that, and obviously you're the future of the company. But I do think that he does stuff. Now, a hernia, that could just be a freak injury accident. You know what I'm saying? That can happen. Like, you can wrestle and get that. You can get up the wrong way and you can get that and stuff like that. But still, I don't know how heavy that announce table is, because when I was growing up, that announce table would break as soon as you plucked it. Now, Muzz literally put people through it. Actually, they put the person doesn't even go through the table anymore. I saw Randy give everybody back suplexes on that table. That table did not break. I remember the tables used to break. Even when they do top rope stuff from the top to the outside, the table rarely breaks. So I don't know what it is. I don't know what keeps that table together. But when I was little, because I do remember they had the little pull away thing, and I remember one time a camera caught it. But still, like, what's the point of trying to put somebody through a table that won't break? Unbreakable. Still, I don't know how heavy it is, but apparently that's what he got from. So like I said, please heal. Hernias could take months to heal, and WrestleMania is only 2 months away, so it's like he may not be able to get it. Some people feel that the vision is snake bit with Seth having to vacate the title and being kicked out, and then now even with Bron Breakker, and then even what like they're doing with the vision. I don't know what they're doing with the vision and stuff like that. It was just like, I think when Bron lost to CM Punk on that Raw on Netflix, that, like, I don't want to say it killed a lot of momentum, because it's just like, okay, well, what else is he supposed to do? The guy that's 20-something years old, way stronger, faster than CM Punk, couldn't beat CM Punk. Not only could he not beat CM Punk, he couldn't even beat him with his group, because the Luchas came out, man. They didn't let them Luchas in the door. When they come in the door, you don't want no beef no more. But still, what can you do with that? Obviously he's supposed to be like the protege and the star. And then you had Austin Theory. He shows up and he's in the group, but they just be in the locker room for the most part. It was a little buzz when he yoked up Adam Pearce, but okay, what else? So him being injured does, obviously hurts the vision and what they're going to do with that or whatever like that, because I don't even know what they would do. Sometimes a slow down is a blessing in disguise or whatever like that. They can repackage him, they can do something. It does suck to not see him at WrestleMania. I don't know what the plans would have been for WrestleMania for the vision, let alone Bron Breakker, but it does suck to see somebody just injured and stuff like that. And then, even as a wrestler myself, when you get injured, sometimes you don't come back like you was before you got injured. Sometimes you're not 100%. Guys know I had my leg, I messed my leg up. Bone bruising, sprain, all of that stuff. Leg couldn't even bend. Now, I feel like I'm at 90% because my leg still doesn't bend all the way like as it should and stuff like that, but I can still wrestle and all of that stuff. People would tear their ACLs, MCLs and stuff like that. They wearing the braces and stuff because it's just something that could either snap back or it's just not 100% ever again because they want to protect the injury. Stone Cold had 2 knee braces when he was wrestling in the latter parts of his career. You know what I'm saying? So still, Kurt Angle's neck looks swole all the time because of the consistent neck injuries that he had as a wrestler. So sometimes you just don't you're just not the same person, and sometimes it take a toll on somebody. Look at Dark Side of the Ring, how people get hooked on drugs and stuff like that, and unfortunately to take their life or to overdose on the drugs that they're taking to take away the pain to continue to wrestle. And I'm not saying this as part of a pity party, but I'm just saying these injuries can really mess up not only just your body but your mindset. With Chelsea with the foot, looked like it's broke or whatever like that. She said it's career threatening. So whatever she did was done pretty bad. Now, Chelsea has been injured before. I think she had a broken nose, she had a broken wrist and stuff like that. I remember one time they let her go after she had a broken thumb or whatever like that. I'm like, dang, she's showing that she gives 100%. Not intense like Bron, but still. I think she has grown into making a name for herself in WWE. A lot of people love her and stuff like that. And like I said, once again, that's also unfortunate that she got an injury, especially around this WrestleMania season. If I was WWE, I would probably try to slow down a tad bit, to make sure that everybody is healthy. I mean, even the CM Punk approach, CM Punk's not wrestling every week, and he doesn't need to, he doesn't have to, because he's a vet in the game and he's a champion, so he doesn't need to wrestle every week. I know he probably wants to, but still, the Roman approach, Roman's not showing up, he's not showing up every Raw to face off against Punk, but still, I think the less is more. What's going on? I do think the less is more approach with WrestleMania season. I'm not sitting here saying that, you gotta, be less, less, this is gonna sound crazy, less hard, pause. But still, you gotta spread out the certain things and all of that stuff. Even if it's guys that you're not gonna book for WrestleMania, let them go against some of the main event guys or whatever like that and have them, have a little TV time or something, or even squash matches and stuff. Like I said, it does suck when somebody is injured, and like I said, even hearing that Chelsea Green has a career-threatening injury is not a good thing in itself. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, that could mean even after it heals or it doesn't heal all the way. So injuries are very, very sad, and like I said, I do hope they get better. I do hope they get 100%. And if one gets cleared for WrestleMania, that'd be cool, but take it easy. I mean, I remember Seth Rollins when he had his knee injury or whatever like that, and he had a knee injury as a lingering injury, and when he lost to Drew at WrestleMania and stuff like that, he came back to face Damian Priest when Damian Priest had the World Heavyweight Championship. Problem with it was the match wasn't that good because Seth wasn't 100%. Seth was working slow. He looked like he was still in pain. So it's just like, don't try to rush something when you don't have to. Like Seth didn't look like Seth. Seth looked like he was barely rolling. Seth rolling, like rolling. But still, injuries are very, very serious, and I do hope these people get better. And I'm at work, so I do hope you guys and gals have a great day. This is Chris Classic. Let's take it home.